Hey everyone, good to see you. Hope you had a good weekend. Let's dive in again to some notes on distributive property, continue where we left off on Friday. And we're just going to go do another quick review here, right? So I've got this notion of frosting a cake, right? And I'm using some letters. And let's go back in here. Here's my frosting. If I have an A and I have a B and C inside, who knows what we're frosting, but we got letters in here. And this is going to be frosting this and frosting that. Those are the two things in the oven, right? And this is our frosting. And so we're seeing that A being multiplied by both things. Don't forget, we're frosting everything inside the oven. We're multiplying by both terms inside. We're going to switch a little bit to more math talk and not talk about frosting cake and muffins all the time. So here's the cake, so to speak, and here's the muffin, so to speak. And what do I get when I do this? I get AB plus AC. And so if I come in here, A times B minus C, it's still the same thing. I'm frosting this, and I'm frosting that. Well, what are those terms that we're frosting, that we're distributing, right? I'm distributing the A to the term inside here, which is a B, and the term here. And that's not a C. That's a negative C. And so when I come in here with this negative, and this is the term, right, separated by addition, I can see that this here is going to be an AB. This is going to be a negative AC. All right, let's go bring it down into numbers. And I'm just going to go ahead and write it like this. I'm going to go ahead and understand that we've got parentheses, mean that I've got distributive property. I've got things in the oven, so to speak, right? And I've got my frosting on the outside, and it looks like this. So I'd like you to notes to do the same coloring that I'm doing, please, on these notes. When you're actually doing the problems, if you want to skip the coloring, that's fine. And in this problem here, let's do both. I'm going to zoom in a little closer here. We'll do 1 and 3 together. I'll let you do 2 and 4 on your own. Now we better do those. They've got some funny negatives in there. So I got my parentheses. And I've got the thing that I'm distributing, right? So in this problem, I'm distributing a 4 to one term, and I'm distributing a 4 to another term. I'm distributing or frosting the cake, and I'm frosting the muffin. It looks like this. 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 5 is 20, and that would be my answer here. Let's go to this next one down here. Negative 7 is the term I'm distributing, or the so-called frosting, right? And I'm doing it to that term and to this term, frosting everything in the oven. The cake is my 2x, and the muffin is my 3. And so when I multiply those, this becomes negative 14x, and this becomes negative 21. And so my answer is negative 4x minus 21. Got a little tight on you, didn't I? Okay, let's go over and do 2 and 4 real quick and a couple examples. This sheet is going to be homework. I really need everyone to finish the whole thing. Due tomorrow, beginning of class. Let's go over to problems 2 and 4. If you need to pause the video, you can, but we really need to move along to get these all done. So again, this is the number I'm distributing, or so to speak, thinking I'm frosting. So I'm frosting here and I'm frosting here. Two things, both of them. I'm frosting the cake and I'm frosting, say that out loud, that term. And I hope you didn't say x, because it's not an x. It's a negative x, right? And we need to remember that so that I know that this term, the whole thing, right, is landing up to be negative. So this becomes 12 and a negative 6x. So we've got 12 and a negative 6x. Let's do our last problem, problem 4, distributing the frosting onto the cake and muffin, a negative 2. And see how I wrote them both already? Because I need to get that to both terms, to the negative 4x and to the negative 11. And again, we're just multiplying here now, and this becomes, oh, what happens here? Those two negatives in the same bubble disappear, right? And so remember that this is positive 8x, with the positive being invisible. And this other term here, same thing. We got two negatives in that term, and so this becomes positive 22. And we get 8x and 22. It looks like this. All right, so let's go ahead and jump down to some trickier ones. Problems 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are all very similar to what we just did. Let's dive down into some of these harder ones. And one in particular, let's take a look at problem 11. I think that's going to throw some of you because you don't see a number on the outside, right? And that's because when I have a negative out there, that number is invisible, and it's actually, and I'm going to put it in green here because it's invisible, but there's a negative 1. That negative 1 is being distributed to everything in the oven, to everything in the parenthesis, right? So let's go ahead and do our frosting. Negative 1 goes to one term and to the other, to everything in the oven, to the cake, the P, and to the muffins, which is not 5R, right? It's not 5R. It's negative 5R. And so when we do this, I can see that this P now becomes a negative P, negative 1P. Don't write the 1, it's invisible. And this negative 1 times negative 5R, this becomes positive 5R. And that's a little confusing. And yeah, we have two letters. So what? So I got P's and I got R's. So I'll have different colors. And now let's go ahead and also do one of the fractions because those get a little tricky. And I'd love to do the one right below it, the 3/4, right? This is why I've been working on those coins with you, because what coin is a fourth, right? Come on, say it. What coin is it? It's a quarter. How much money is a quarter? 25 cents. How many quarters do I have? 3 of them, which is 75 cents. So instead of using 3/4, I'm actually going to change this to a decimal and say 0.75. And so I've got 0.75 times 12x minus 4. And so when I distribute this, I'm going to have 0.75 distributed to both items. And I'm going to get 0.75 times 12x and 0.75 times a negative 4. And when I multiply this out, then I'm going to have to explain this when I come back. I'm not going to go into it right now, but that's the thinking I want. And 3/4 of the 12 is going to be, I wonder if anyone can get it, it's going to end up being 9x. And I'll deal with that when we come back. And this negative 4 is going to end up being a negative 3. 3.75 times negative 4. And that would be our answer in there. Don't worry so much about the fractions until I get back, but I did want you to see that how I'm taking a look at those. All right, go ahead and do the rest of these on your own and homework and do tomorrow. All right, see you tomorrow.